All right, folks, we're ready to start. We're ready to start the meeting. Thank you. Everyone can mute their phones, please. Welcome to, what's today? September the 9th, Beech Mountain Town Council meeting. All right, I'd like to need a motion to call this meeting to order, please.
Motion.
Second.
Very good. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Invocation? You're up.
Oh.
I'm sorry. It's like,
How many years?
You ever look
I
around?
won't recognize you by name. I figured you'd be replaced by now.
Well, I haven't been here long enough.
Years of doing this.
I haven't been here long enough to learn my name. We're working on it though. Good afternoon, everyone. So good to see all the, especially old timers here there. Our version today, the scripture is, "Be strong, all ye who believe in the Lord." And 11 September 2001. How many of y'all remember where you were and what you were doing? I bet most everybody. When the towers came down and the Pentagon was hit. It was one of those real days I guess we'll never forget. But looking at the statistics for that day, when the towers came down just in New York alone with the towers, over 3,000 died, 4 EMTs, 60 police officers, 343 firefighters, 2,907 civilians. One of the ironic things about it, the first firefighter that died, he never even got into the building. He was standing outside in formation, and he was hit by somebody that jumped off the 87th floor, the tower above. And the guy never knew what hit him, I'm sure. So he never even got inside from that. 11 September will be the 24th anniversary of this. And we, thinking about so many of our citizens weren't even born then or too young to remember. But one thing that really kind of bothers me, probably most of you, the way things are in this country today, if this happened, say if this happened the 11th of September, which would be Thursday, I really wonder the reactions then, what things are now. Probably many people would be praising the terrorists and applauding them instead of thinking of the victims. So I hope I'm wrong, but that's kind of a feeling that I have. But that day, I don't know, we had anger, confusion, bewilderment. I thought one of the weirdest things, there were no planes in the air. You know, we just take that for granted, look up and say airplane and all that. We had, 4 or 5 days that the flights were all grounded, and kind of got pretty missile seeing those airplanes like that. There was a feeling, though, of togetherness, goodwill, helping one another. One of the strangest things was, I guess a couple of days after that, Congress all got together in front of the Capitol building, linked arms, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, and they sang, "God bless America." And boy, it looked like it's going to be some great times coming up. A week later, of course, they'd forgotten all that, and back to the same old stuff. There were a lot of heroes in this time. Many of them, of course, were unknown. I thought one of the greatest was a plane that crashed in Pennsylvania on the field where the passengers fought the terrorists and took it over. And most of you probably know it. There's a Beech Mountain connection to that. One flight attendants, I believe it was her in-laws here on the mountain, I'm not sure. But anyway, the story goes that she called her husband right before the passengers attacked to tell him goodbye, and said she told him what they were fixing to do. And she said she was boiling water at the flight attendant station, putting a canister, and when they rushed the terrorists, she was going to throw that scalding hot boiling water on the guy. I hope she got him before they crashed. He was killed. They would suffer a little bit there. I know that's not a good thing to say, but what the heck. But the things that we, remember, we have a picture, I think, is all these firemen that were going in that building, carrying 100 pounds or so of equipment there and loaded in this, like all of them do to carry it. And there's everyone else running out trying to escape. And these guys marching in, knowing that they had very little chance of getting out. One of the heroes of it we do know, we found out about a month later, or 6 months later, was a young man named Wells Crowther. He was called the man in the red bandana. His mother said from the time he was 6 years old, he wanted to be a fireman. And he wore a red bandana all the time. When a little bitty guy, he started doing it, and he would wear it to church, school, play, practice, whatever. And he had scholarship, played lacrosse at Boston College. When he graduated, he took all the tests and applied to be a fireman in New York City, and he passed everything, but there was no openings for a while. So he went to work on the 104th floor of the South Tower. Still wore his red bandana all the time, man. And when the plane hit the tower, he was able to get downstairs all the way to the 75th floor. And where he got there, he found some people hurt, confused, and all, so he led them down the stairs to safety. And then he went back up and got another group brought down. They said he was 15 seconds from going through the door. And he went back to get the third group. And that was the last that they saw of him. But later, his mother saw some people in the hospital that survived it, and they all told the same story about a young man with a red bandana living downstairs. And so his mother knew the chance of him not surviving pretty good. That's who it is. But then she sent a picture to the survivors to confirm what was happening. 6 months later, his remains were found in the wreckage, red bandana around his remains. At the next Olympics, one of his teammates from lacrosse at Boston College made the Olympic team on the bobsled. And so to honor Wells, his teammate, this guy wore a red bandana in the Olympics there. And y'all know in colleges, home football games, a lot of times, everybody will wear white. They're white out, they wear black and say blackout. The Boston College, they wear red bandanas, and they won't have a red bandana out here. So later, the fire department made him an honorary fireman, and they named a fire station for him there in New York. But I guess the probably thing about it, everybody had choices that day. Some chose to not go to work. Maybe it's, they had a doctor's appointment. One guy, they said, didn't go to work, or went to work, but he had a minor car accident. He was all upset he was going to be late for work. Of course, we found out what happened. He thanked the good Lord for the car wreck there. One of the pilots was killed there when they swapped flights with a fellow pilot. His daughter was getting married that day. So there are many interesting things like choices like that. I guess probably my greatest choice was I was late for my own wedding there 100 years ago, and my wife chose to go ahead and marry me anyhow. So I guess it worked out for about 56 years, but it could have gone the other way just as easily. So that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, we all face choices every day, and it might be something simple like, which road to go, or oversleep or something like that, but we never know the consequences of it. So thank y'all very much as you bow your heads there. Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day, for all these people here. We thank you for the town that we love, where we live. And we pray, Lord, you will continue to bless the United States of America and Beach Mountain. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, like starting our meetings out with some positive news, and even though it's on our consent agenda, for those that haven't read it, funding coming into Beech Mountain has been slow. The town's been working very diligently trying to bring money in. This past week, or last week, we were awarded another $1.5 million interest-free. So it's a joint effort. Hats off to everyone that was involved in that, and Chief and the staff of Beech Mountain. All right, consent agenda. I need a motion to accept the, I'm sorry, public comment. Well, Chess wanted to speak, so I was trying to skip it. So, public comment, thank you. This is a time for the public to address their elected officials on issues not on the agenda. Town council is interested in hearing your concerns. However, speakers should not expect council action or deliberation on the items brought forth. So in saying that, our first speaker is Chess Adams.
Thank you.
If you'll give your address, please.
My name is Chess Adams, 105 Shagbark Road. I wanted to speak to the council about maximum occupancy for single-family dwellings. It turns out they're very familiar with the topic and have already made a run at managing it, but I'm going to bring it back up and ask the council to, let's take another look at it, see if there's anything we can do to manage the amount of short-term renters that we're seeing in our houses. The particular incident I had, the house is advertised to sleep 16 plus. They had 33 people in the house. I'm not sure 16 plus is really a reasonable number, but either way, these folks already have talked about it, and they've talked about it on the state level, but I'm going to ask them, let's revisit it one more time. And if I may, I'd like to address one other issue, and that's you guys. I hear a lot of disgruntlement about these individuals up here from time to time. Just so you'll know, I voted for all of them. But my point is, let's give these guys a chance as a governing body. They haven't been together that long. And it takes a little while for a body of governing people to get together and hear and work together in collaboration. But what really upsets me is when I hear people singling out individuals and asking you guys to vote them out. Well, before you consider voting someone out, ask yourself the question, are you willing to do what they do? Are you willing to go down to Raleigh once a month and sit with the legislators? Our mayor does that. And I know nobody else has ever done that. My brother was a mayor once. So, what I'm asking of all of you is give these guys the relief and the support that they deserve. I'm not willing to do it. Anybody in here willing to? And I don't see any of our out-of-towners who make a regular effort to unseat these guys. But I will tell them another day, these are my people. So when you post those things on your thing, I voted for them. If you don't like them, come talk to me about it. I've been up there since 1960 something. So if you don't like my guys, come see me first. Please. Don't be sending them nasty rants and stuff. That makes me mad. I thank every one of y'all for what you do.
We normally allow 5 minutes, but if you want to take an extra Thank you, Jess. I don't want to call this one, but I guess I have to. Francis Edwards.
5 minutes.
I'll be shorter than that. I don't need this light. Steph will tell you that for sure. Good afternoon. I want to thank the town council, Mayor Widener Abernathy, and the town manager, Bob Putney, for allowing me to have this time. My name is Francis Edwards, for those who don't know me. I work at Beech Mountain Ski Resort, both summer and fall, as a patroller, as well as I have become a pretty good pet sitter on this mountain. So anybody who needs pet sitting. I'm also a nurse by trade. But you may know me better as one lady at Buckeye this past April said, "Ooh, you're the hurricane lady." So I, along with Kate Prisco, which a lot of y'all know Kate, assisted in cleaning out several refrigerators and freezers, all legitimately, in the days following Helene. And during those days, I got to see the best of most of the people on this mountain. In 18 days, it will have been 1 year since Helene hit and passed through western North Carolina and wreaked havoc on many small communities up here, Beech Mountain being one of them. The days following Helene was a time when we saw a community that came together to begin the process of rebuilding. There were many people that rose to the occasion and showed the true spirit of what people in the community will do to help out. On September 28th, it is a Sunday, there's going to be a gathering in the Beech Mountain Resort parking lot, Lot 4. It's going to be a time to come together with friends. We are going to provide the meat. We will be cooking, rain or shine. We've got tents ready to go up. Anyone who's coming, we would ask that you bring a side dish to share, whether it be appetizer, something to go with some form of some meats, or a dessert, something like that. I'm working on getting a few donations from a few people. I've already gotten some cash donations to help buy some of the meat that we'll be doing. Flyers have been put in all the business, White Wolf Lodge, Brick Oven, Whistle Pig, Town Hall, the Visitor Center, Bullwinkles, Alpen, the Beech Mountain Club, Buckeye, Beech Mountain Resort, I think I got them all. Fred's. Museums, they've got flyers there too. We also have created a social media page where you can go to it and respond whether you're interested or coming, so that we ask that you do that so we can kind of gauge how many people will be there. And other than that, just come and enjoy, bring photos, share your stories, and I've got somebody who will be also, I'm going to be getting this person Kate's address because he's got a ton of photos from that day that's not been shared. What time? 4 p.m. Sorry, 4 p.m. We also have one of our local guys who will be playing music for free. So, yes.
Will there be any type of screen up there that we can see the pictures on the screen?
Probably not, probably not. So, but we're working on getting those photos because we feel like they need to go to the museum to kind of preserve history, because that was the one thing Kate and I said, that we did not take hardly any photos during those days while we were working, and we wish we had. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. September 28th, 4 p.m., Lot 4, cookout. See, I said that in less than 30 seconds.
Less than 10.
I can say something.
All right, our next speaker, Gabe Prince.
No, I thought you just had decided to be here.
Oh. Okay, would you like to say anything while you're here?
Well, but.
Don't give her a chance.
People here from Pinnacle End Resort, and we're very concerned and interested in the development plan for the town. So we're just trying to keep our ear to the ground and see what's going on.
Very good. All right, thank you. Okay, takes care of public comment. Item 6, consent agenda. I need a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Very good.
In the consent agenda was that loan agreement that we talked about a minute ago.
The 1.5 million.
Yeah.
Old business, item 7.1. This ordinance for consideration for various code amendments. Need a motion to accept item 7.1.
Motion.
Second.
And further discussion, I was going to ask our town manager to say a few words about item 7.1.
Well, Mayor and Council, as you know, this was the planning department and the planning board doing some cleanup of the existing ordinances and making some changes. This went to the planning board, they unanimously approved it, went to public hearing. You had negative comments about the water restriction plan changes. The town attorney and I have met. We're going to work on some alternate language, so that's not in your agenda today. What's in your agenda is the non-controversial items that went through the process. It has to do with addressing predominantly. You see all the changes. We'll be bringing these two similar things to you on a regular basis as we clean up our code. So it should be, there was no comments pro or con to any of these items that are before you. The water restriction comment changes are not on the agenda.
Thank you. You guys have any questions? No. All in favor, of item 7.1?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, new business. Item 8.1, this is a resolution to recognize Barbara McKay for her years of service to Beach Mountain. I'd like to call up Sean Royal this time. Just read it right there. That's it.
As many of you know, Barbara McKay has been an instrumental person on this mountain for many years. Her husband as well, serving on town council, and recently they have moved. And the recreation board and I would like to recognize Barbara. She has 25 years being on the rec board. That is quite remarkable. Barbara has been a true friend to me, a mentor, and a world of knowledge. She can tell you minutes from meetings that happened many years ago, the date and the page that is written on, and who said it. So she has, again, always been there for my staff, me, and the rest of the board. And I'd just like to say how much I appreciate you. You missed.
Thank you, it's been a pleasure serving with you.
And then Mayor has a comment. Oh, he's not. Sorry.
So we'd like to present the proclamation.
All right, I will try to read this as best I can. A resolution of the town of Beach Mountain to honor Barbara McKay for dedicated service. Whereas Barbara McKay has honorably and with distinction served as volunteer on Beach Mountain's Recreation Committee for 25 years. And whereas Barbara McKay's selfless commitment has made a significant and lasting positive impact on Beach Mountain's Parks and Recreation Department through serving as a board member, coordinating various recreation programs, budget planning, being a founding member of the Historical Society, and tireless efforts volunteering at events. And whereas the exceptional dedication of Barbara McKay exemplifies the spirit of giving and inspires others to contribute their time and talents to community service. And whereas Barbara McKay's efforts have been instrumental in defining the vision of recreation for the town, developing the Parks and Recreation Department, and providing support through 25 years of service. And whereas it is the desire of the town of Beach Mountain to formally acknowledge and show deep gratitude for this commendable service. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the town of Beach Mountain that formal thanks and appreciation are extended to Barbara McKay for her outstanding dedication and invaluable contributions, and adopted by the town council on this 9th day of September 2025.
Hey, and also at this time, I'd like to recognize Barbara's husband, Paul McKay. He spent 12 years on town council. So thank you, Paul. And I have to ask this question. Did y'all change your residency yet? Because we have an election coming up.
I did, last week.
I was looking for a vote.
I just wanted to say that on behalf of the Historical Society, we're really going to miss Barb. She has been the chair of our calendar committee for years and years, and that has become an instrumental source of income for us. And it's a very popular item with visitors and residents alike. Also, I know she's served the town. She's also served her neighbors. She has brought hot meals to people in need. She's gone over to people's houses to play cards with her that couldn't make it to their weekly bridge meeting. She has made quilts for every police car in town so that they have blankets if they go to a call and someone needs a blanket. She has donated her quilts to be auctioned off for charities locally for them to raise money. So I just know that she chose to volunteer without expectation of being recognized. But today we want to let her know how much her dedication is appreciated and that her acts of kindness and generosity made a difference. And we want to thank you and let you know you're going to be missed.
I challenge everybody to be a volunteer.
I guess while we're recognizing a few, I want to recognize Don Abbott, Officer Don Abbott. Hello, officer. You want to say anything? Appreciate you attending our meeting.
Keeping us safe.
That's right, it's well attended, so you probably needed some additional security. Thank you. Okay, item 8.2, we have a presentation for the Stormwater Enterprise. I need a motion to open up the Stormwater Enterprise Fund.
Motion.
Second.
All right, and at this time, who?
Mayor, if I can introduce?
Yes, sir.
To give you a little backup. Mayor, council, and the public, this came to fruition during the budget process, where we talked about stormwater utilities, stormwater issues on the mountain, and all the issues that we saw not only with Helene, but with other events prior to Helene. So this is the culmination of that endeavor. We went out and hired Withers Ravenel engineering firm to do, they had previously done some work for the town some years ago on stormwater, and it never really got moving. And so we asked them to come back and take a look at this, make a presentation to you on what a stormwater utility is, what it can be used for, what the potential costs are, and what the benefits are. And so tonight's presentation doesn't require a decision. We just wanted to bring that full circle so that get you up to speed on what's possible and what can be done. So I'd like to introduce Shannon Moore and Dory Sabeth from Withers Ravenel. I'm not sure which one is going to take the lead, but if you tell me when to change the page, I'll change the page.
Perfect, I'll do that.
He does
Thank
that-
you.
He does it well, too.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, council members, and manager, thank you for allowing us the opportunity to talk to you about the Stormwater Fund startup. And really, this presentation has been in the works for a while now, and we scheduled the meeting a couple months in advance and prepared the agenda, but it seems like it's really timely with the discussion on hurricane and the opening statement about the grants and funds needed for stormwater. So that's what we're going to talk about in here, how to establish a fund for stormwater utility and the steps that go with it. I'm the director of stormwater at Withers Ravenel. I handle all the technical aspects about master planning, preparing resilient communities, and going with initiatives like the one that the town is taking right now to increase the resiliency of the town and be ready for future events. We know that they're not going anywhere, and we need to prepare for them better. And Shannon is the Director of Financial Services, so the portion about establishing a stormwater fund, how to manage it, how to, the ordinances that go with it, she will be talking about those in the few slides. So the agenda is pretty much straightforward. We're going to talk, why is it needed? Why are we here to talk about the stormwater utility? We will talk about the previous study that were mentioned, whether the ones that we did a few years back and other initiatives that the town has been doing. And then we will start to talk about the analysis that we did for this presentation and for the preliminary evaluation of the stormwater utility fund. And with that, we'll talk about what options you have to establish the funds and then the funding opportunities in terms of, again, the beginning and what are the next steps from here. The why, I mean, everyone lives in the community. Helene was 1 year ago, and I remember I was up before Helene when Fred happened before it, and we were thinking it's unusual and it happened in the community, but we're starting to see them more and more often, these storms. And the large ones, the named storms that are declared emergencies, they come with funds. FEMA comes in and they provide funds. They are slow, the process is tedious, but at least there's something. What we're seeing now is there's more and more of these localized storms that they do not cover, they are not covered under the national media. They don't get a declaration at the federal government. So a lot of times it will be on the community to recover from the storm and to deal with the aftermath. And that's why it's good to be ready ahead of time, have a secured funding mechanism just to address stormwater concerns, and actually to increase the resiliency. And by that we mean not allow pictures like these to happen. I mean, you know the streets in here, then the roads that are shown. But what we want to do is prepare the town to have the means to avoid having scenes like this. These storms are becoming more frequent. They happen more often, and we just need to prepare for them. I'll talk a little bit about the previous plans. I mean, you can see they are a little bit outdated. We started 2010, and then in 2019 we did a small study on a few crossings and roads that we increased the size of the culverts on. These were completed. There were two sites, the ski resort retention pond and West Pond Creek Valley. Both of them are targeting more water quality. At the time, again, we're not seeing as much the frequent storms and the intense storms that are happening now. And the funds that were available were more geared towards water quality, so that was the intent for these ones. In addition to this, the town is going through culvert replacements, and we talked about the efforts that have been ongoing, and actually about 150 of the 512 cross drains in here have been replaced in the last 5 years. But at the same time, to be able to meet the challenges, the future challenges, it needs a dedicated staff between full-time and a certain percentages of time that are dedicated for stormwater to handle the events that are happening. All this would come at a cost, and in order to continue with the replacement process and to do it in a more methodological way and have a good approach about increasing the resiliency and having a sustainable project, it's good to plan ahead. And that's always, we start with the inventory and assessment of the existing system that you have, and we develop a stormwater master plan. This master plan will have what we call hot spots or hot areas that we know are not meeting a certain level of service criteria. And from there, we'll propose projects that will increase that level of service to meet the desired intent. And on top of that, like everything else, it's a lot cheaper to do proactive maintenance and have it scheduled and planned for rather than repairing at the end. So we're going to account for the budget, what's needed to do the maintenance on an annual basis, and how we're going to fund it. The couple of projects I mentioned earlier, the ski resort retention pond, they are shown in the picture in there, maybe not too clear, but that's how much fits on the screen, and also the age of the study when we did it. But both of them, I mean, they are mainly for water quality purposes, and you can see things start to add up the amount of money. In here, we're talking about close to $750,000, that's for water quality. So it's good rather than doing a small study and target 2 ponds that were there to work on that overall master plan and see, can we get more benefits if we lump projects together and do something more regional. And so that's the background on it. From here on, we're going to talk about how we're going to fund a program like this and what are the steps to be done. The most common approach that most municipalities are taking now is to establish a stormwater utility fund, and that's an enterprise fund that is protected to be used for stormwater benefits only. So it will be able to support a stormwater program that can develop all these projects that we talked about, implement them, and maintain the system for the town. For that, we look at how we're going to be able to develop a fee that is fair for everyone, for the residents, and such that everyone contributes according to what, and the amount of fee, according to the amount of runoff and flow that comes to the system that requires that maintenance. We do that by we analyze all the parcels that are in the town, and depending on the parcel size, for example, we could establish a certain fee, and then on top of that, we look at the impervious area, because once you start to build on a parcel and add impervious area, it will increase the amount of water that comes into the system. So that's a good, fair way to balance between the two. And we did that analysis in here just to put things in perspective. The town has about just a little bit less than 1,800 residential properties and 80 non-residential parcels. And in order to be fair, we cannot just establish a single fee for everyone that owns a parcel. Some parcels are much larger and contribute more. So that's the portion that Shannon will be talking about, the options of how we establish a fee to provide that analysis that's based on that.
Hey, Dory, I don't know if now it's appropriate to ask this question, but in one of your slides, asset inventory, what is that?
So that one, we map the entire stormwater network. So every pipe and ditches that we have, we will collect GIS data on it. So you'll have a map of the entire network, and we do the condition assessment on them. So if this pipe is in bad condition, then it needs to be replaced. If it's not, there are options that could be added to it where we can have a life cycle monitoring and a life cycle benefits such that if you start maintenance in here, you will increase the life and will lower your benefit ratio. So that's where we use that.
Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. So what's the purpose of a stormwater fund? Essentially, you're establishing a standalone enterprise, just like your water and sewer utilities, and you have revenues and expenses that are not competing with your general fund, so you have a dedicated source. In this case, your revenues would be your user fees. Like Dory talked about, a lot of times we use the impervious spaces, we use parcel size to set a fee structure so that you have a dedicated source of revenues. And then on the expense side, you're going to use anything that is related to stormwater services. It can be in preparation of storms where you want to clean out your storm drains, you want to keep your right-of-ways clear. It can be capital cost for improvements, capital cost for expansions of your stormwater pipes. Your staff that are dedicated, a lot of times your public works will support your stormwater enterprise. So you can do cost sharing between your general fund and your stormwater fund, where you can do partial employees funded through the stormwater fund. So essentially it's all of the operations and maintenance for maintaining your stormwater. So financial considerations. In terms of establishing your rate structure, we typically look at two methodologies. We use the GIS impervious data to establish what we call an equivalent residential unit, which is looking at your residential parcels, and we determine what is your average residential impervious space per parcel. And that kind of becomes your variable for establishing your fees on the residential and both the commercial side. The other option is to look at your parcel size. In this case, you would look at the total kind of acreage, and you would establish a fee just like on an acre of land. Very similar to your water sewer, where a lot of times you're charging per 1,000 gallons. This kind of becomes your multiplier. And so commonly in the state of North Carolina, there's 4 options or kind of 4 variables in establishing your rate structure. There are some utilities that do a flat fee, where everybody pays the same rate no matter how much impervious space, no matter the parcel size. It is the least fair and equitable way to administer the stormwater program. So a lot of times utilities will look at a residential and a non-residential. Your commercial and industrial parcels typically have a lot more impervious space. They have a lot more parking lots, driveways, things like that. And so you want to kind of consider the impervious space within the parcel instead of just a flat fee. And then you can look at a pure holistic ERU, which is regardless of the type of property, residential versus non-residential, you use ERU across the board for every parcel. And then there's a flat fee residential. We see this one a lot, where all residential parcels pay the same fee, and then the non-residential pay based on that ERU. Again, it's a more equitable way when you think about some of your larger non-residential parcels having more impervious space. So we did a fee survey comparing Beech Mountain to, there are 4 other stormwater enterprises in Western North Carolina, And then also Bald Head Island, which geographically is not the same topographic as Beech Mountain, but it's very similar in the type of community that Beech Mountain is. So in this survey, Asheville is the largest. They have 3 residential tiers. So they break up that ERU into what they call tier 1, 2, and 3. So the small residential units pay a smaller fee than what's considered a really large home or a really large residential parcel. In this case, the tier 1 is paying $453 per month, and the really large, which is over 4,000 square feet of impervious space, is $994 per month. Second largest, and then Asheville non-residential, they are using an ERU, which is equivalent to 2,422 square feet, as their multiplier for their non-residential fee. And in this case, they're using that middle tier pricing to be applicable to their non-residential, which is $722 per ERU per month. So there may be commercial properties that have, if you're a large industrial building with a large parking lot, they could have a non-residential paying 100 times that ERU price. Second largest community was Hendersonville. They charge a flat regardless of size on the residential, which is $8 per month. And then non-residential, they also charge $8 per ERU, so not a flat. They also look at a maximum $400 per month on the non-commercial, or they can apply for a 50% credit if they have stormwater control measures on the property to reduce the impact to the stormwater system. The next 3 communities, Black Mountain, very basic tier structure. They do $6 flat fee for every residential parcel. For non-residential, they look at a moderate versus a large impact. In this case, they do $20 flat fee, non-residential low impact, and then the $100 flat fee regardless of the size. Laurel Park is $10 per month regardless of the type of property. They actually increased in their 26 budget. They went from $5 to $10. So they actually doubled post-Helene their fee on their stormwater enterprise. And then Bald Head Island, similar to Laurel Park, they charge $8 flat fee regardless of the type of property, so residential or non-residential. And then the second approach we talked about earlier is where you can look at the size of parcel, so you can look at total acreage instead of an ERU multiplier, or you can do a combination of both. In this case, there's only 5 stormwater enterprises in the state of North Carolina that are actually charging that fee based on the size of the property, regardless of the impervious space. 3 of those are counties: Camden County, Granville County, and Person County. And then there are 2, unless you want me to read you all the details, I'll just kind of skip over all of the details that I've put on there. But there are 2 municipalities, and that's Creedmoor, which is down east, and Stem. And both of those, you'll notice there's kind of some variances between the type of fee that they charge. Some of them charge a ERU plus a size of acreage. Some of them strictly charge the size of acreage. So there's a lot of different kind of combinations across the state in how you may want to determine a fee structure for Beech Mountain. And then we looked at the Environmental Finance Center, which has a lot of stormwater data. There's over 100 stormwater enterprises throughout North Carolina, both on the county and the municipal side. And we looked at, for these communities that we benchmarked for Beech Mountain, we looked at the population, median household income, the residential fee in their adopted budget for fiscal year 2026. In this case, Beech Mountain kind of sits somewhere between what you would consider Laurel Park and Bald Head Island in types of population and median household income. So you're kind of right in the middle of those 2. The average of all of those 5 communities is an average of $7.84 per month between those 5 communities. So what financial considerations do you have in terms of how you bill your stormwater fee? You really have 3 options. You can add it to your utility bill, you can add it to your tax bill, or you can do a standalone bill. We don't recommend standalone bill, especially where citizens already receive a tax bill and a utility bill, because that's just another bill to your constituents. It's a third bill to have to pay, and so your preference would likely be either on the tax bill or the utility bill. In this case, if you wanted to look at a parcel-based fee, you may want to bill the majority of that on your tax bill. If you want to look more towards an ERU, you may want to look at billing through the utility bill. So you have both options here with tax bill or utility bill. And so there's kind of pros and cons to each option. On the tax bill option, you typically, because you're talking on the tax bill, you typically have a higher collection rate in terms of how much of those fees are actually collected. You also have low administrative costs. You're already sending the bill out, and it's typically just a line item included on that bill. A lot of citizens pay that through escrow, so it's just a one-time annual charge. The cons are that you have tax exempt properties that don't receive tax bills, so you would want to make sure you create a mechanism to bill for those parcels. Your customers are only paying that fee one time a year, so there's sometimes a little bit more of a financial hardship to pay that all at once. Also, in the first year that you establish the fund, you have to think about cash flows because a lot of your taxes aren't collected till that second half of the fiscal year. So you need to be able to cash flow that utility enterprise that first year if you go with the option of a tax bill. And a really important note here is if you decide to attach it to the tax bill, it is not a lienable collection. So you have to use all other financial remedies to collect if the stormwater fee and the tax bill is not paid. On the utility bill, the pros, again, you're spreading out that cost to your customers, just like with your water and sewer. They typically pay that once or bi-monthly, depending on how you bill. Again, you have low administrative costs because you're already sending a utility bill. It can be added as a line item. And you can adopt an ordinance, a local ordinance, in how you want those payments to be applied. So if you're billing water, sewer, and stormwater, you can decide when a partial payment comes in how you want to establish what gets paid first. The cons, you typically, tax versus utility, you typically have a lower collection on the utility side. Not all developed properties receive a utility bill, so you could have the case where you have wells and septics. Just like with tax exempt properties, you want to make sure you capture those charges and fees. Next slide. All right, so let's talk about some of the state statutes that you want to consider if you decide to establish a fund. First thing is when you adopt your stormwater fee, you have to have a public hearing. A lot of times with stormwater utilities, if they start that process on July 1 in North Carolina, just like they would a normal budget, you can have the same public hearing at the same setting that you have your budget adopted, but you do need to make public notice separately from your budget adoption. So you just want to make sure you notice that separately. The fees have to be applicable across the city, just like with water and sewer utilities. You can't kind of pick and choose what types of parcels or residents you want to pay. It has to be applicable across the city. I don't think in the case of Beech Mountain you have any county stormwater, but if the county were to come forward, either one of the counties come forward and establish a stormwater, you would have to have some consideration between the two public bodies to make sure that parcels are not billed for stormwater services from both. So there need to be some coordinated efforts. There are some cases, especially down in like Wake County, where both counties and municipalities do charge stormwater. And then the rates, fees, and charges imposed, of course, can't exceed the cost of providing stormwater services. Typically, with buried lines in the ground like water and sewer and stormwater, it's not hard to have a large budget, especially when you think about capital improvements. So that's typically not a problem in North Carolina. And then I just put this general statute on here because it kind of establishes, this is verbatim out of North Carolina General Statute 160A 314A2, which establishes the fees and the types of variations you can have in establishing your fee structures. Those items that I've shaded in the black font, size of property and area of impervious surface on the property are the two options that I talked about earlier, where the state statute kind of allows for those variances. And so then let's talk about funding opportunities. Two big pluses you have out of establishing a stormwater fund is that if you ever go after any kind of debt issuance to do a major capital project, you can use your fees in your stormwater enterprise as collateral, just like you can in the water and sewer utilities for revenue bonds, if that's an option that you ever want to explore. The second option is once you've established a stormwater fund, it opens up some opportunities to funding, opportunities across state and federal funding areas where you have an established stormwater fund and a dedicated fund. And a lot of times in some of those applications, you score points that creates a higher priority rating because you have a dedicated funding source and it's not run through your general fund. So two really important things to keep in mind. So in your area, there are 2 post-Helene opportunities specifically for stormwater. The first is the Hazard Mitigation Grant. A lot of times we call that HMGP for short. There's $1.5 billion available statewide in North Carolina, and there is priority in some of the western Helene impacted areas. And so there's zero local match on the HMGP funding. Those need to be shovel-ready projects, so you need to have a kind of a design in hand, or if there's a planning opportunity that is going to result in a shovel-ready project, you can go after some of those funding opportunities. The second post-Helene opportunity for Beech Mountain would be your state revolving fund. Across North Carolina, there's $700 million available for those resources. Again, there's priority to Helene impacted areas. And your projects in that case can have anywhere from a 30 to 100% principal forgiveness. That's a huge increase from pre-Helene funding, and that loan forgiveness can be up to $5 million per entity. Again, shovel-ready projects or planning projects that create shovel-ready. There's also Golden Leaf and NCDEQ water quality. I know Dory's worked on both of those for other municipalities, so there's opportunities there in stormwater. And so I know this is a lot of information in a really short amount of time. So kind of next steps to kind of put this all together. If you decide to create a stormwater fund, you would want to do a thorough GIS analysis so that you have good impervious data to use as a benchmark for establishing those fees. The data that we pulled for this was very high level in conjunction with staff and some of our GIS folks at Withers Ravenel. So you would want to do a complete kind of town analysis on all of your parcels. You would want to make sure you create or update an existing stormwater ordinance, and a lot of times you have public input and public education components in that. Again, you do have to have a public hearing. You'll want to consider the funding and financial opportunities, setting your fee structure, determining how you're going to bill, and then a lot of funding vetting to figure out the best funding opportunities for Beech Mountain. And then lastly, your public notice and your public hearing, and then adoption.
Shannon, what's the timeline for shovel-ready projects?
That'll be a Dory question.
They just changed them last week, actually. So if you have a shovel-ready project, you have to submit your application by October 6th. It's coming up in 4 weeks.
She's got some work to do.
Being done.
Very good.
Yep. Yep. And if it is a planning project, you have until December 1st. If you want to get money to do the pre-construction analysis, so you get your project ready, you get construction drawings, surveying, all that study and analysis. And by next year, you can submit for another funding application for construction. And the good thing is, if you go for the planning, you can include the cost to submit your next year application for construction to be funded with the planning also. That's on the HMGP.
And Shannon, you mentioned several times ERU, equivalent residential unit. Does that include homes, condominiums?
So,
And raw land is excluded from that, or acreage?
so when you look at an equivalent residential unit, you're going to look at all of the space on that parcel that is essentially impermeable to water. Driveways, roof space, outbuildings, parking lots, anything that essentially cannot penetrate water goes into that analysis. And then we look at all of the parcels and we determine a residential average, which then kind of becomes your multiplier for ERU. In the case of Asheville, I think it's like 2,422. So it's distinct to your community. So it's not like a state average. We look at only Beech Mountain properties to determine what your average ERU would be. And then that becomes your multiplier if you choose the route of billing based on ERU. In terms of parcel size, typically it is a calculation of just whatever the acreage is of that parcel, whether it's developed or not.
And my last question is that you said that this fund is not a lienable collection. If it becomes an ordinance, how is it not? If it's like an enterprise fund or utility fund or?
So in terms of the stormwater being billed on the tax parcel, there's only some municipalities in North Carolina that have statutes that allow them to go after a public lien against the property. So in the case of Beach Mountain, you could use any other collection methodology like you use for your water and sewer. A lot of times, I don't know if y'all use North Carolina debt set-off here in Beach Mountain, but you typically have that collection remedy if you use debt set-off, which is like a lien against taxes, income taxes. So anything that you can use for your water and sewer utility is typically applicable on the stormwater.
So they wouldn't be apt to opt out of paying the storm fund?
Mayor, I think the easiest way I could describe it is we can collect it using all the traditional methods, except we can't do a tax foreclosure against the property.
Okay.
We could just go, we could pursue either levy on accounts, or we can do a debt set-off if they have a state tax refund, or we could pursue it through a civil action and get the sheriff to sell it, but we can't go through the process where we file for unpaid taxes, and it doesn't become a super lien. Taxes are ahead of your bank, anything else, taxes get paid first. This utility and like your water bill have to get in line as of the date they become liens on the property.
Thank you.
So it doesn't get the super priority of property taxes.
And often,
Step on your
no,
shoes right
no, thank you. And typically when they bill the stormwater on a water and sewer bill, most municipalities will adopt an ordinance that essentially says, if you make a partial payment, this gets paid first, then this, then this. You may have, I don't know if you have sanitation on your water and sewer bill, but if you have multiple enterprises that you collect, you can adopt an ordinance. I worked in municipal government, and we had an ordinance where stormwater got paid first, because you can't turn off stormwater like you can a water and sewer account.
We have the same ordinance here.
Yep, okay, so you've already got that under
Yes.
control? Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep, so you'd add stormwater in there?
Right.
Yep.
What is the process going forward? If we decided to start an enterprise fund for stormwater, what do we do next?
So typically, we would work with you on some type of scoping agreement for looking at your GIS. That's usually the first step. Your GIS, it kind of becomes the basis for the financial side of how much revenue can you bring in? What kind of options do you want to explore? We can do kind of what if iterations and scenarios. But the GIS kind of becomes the crux of the data that we need to help you establish a user fee. Locally, you'd want to decide how you want to bill it, whether that be taxes or utilities. A lot of times, depending on kind of where you're at in terms of a capital improvement plan, Dory's team would come in and work with you on, are there certain types of capital improvements or capital needs that you have that you want to be considered in that financial study? Because with local government, you typically determine what revenues can you generate, and then your expenses kind of match there. Where on the other side of your private enterprises, you're kind of benchmarking your revenue first, and then, your expenses first, and figuring out how much revenue you have to make.
And kind of in my mind, I think we should do a stormwater study and find out where we're lacking and what the cost is going to be to bring us back up to where we should be, so we have a safe environment. Then we back that out to figure out how we're going to pay for it and how we're going to do it. Is that the way you see it, Bob? Or?
Well, I think a comprehensive stormwater plan is paramount.
Right.
Does
Does this firm do that?
Sure. Yeah, a lot of firms do that.
Yeah, I know.
The issue I have is we're expending, upwards of almost $500,000 a year out of the general budget in stormwater repairs. I call it. It's not even much maintenance, it's repairs. When it rains, we go fix what broke. And that's not being proactive. We're reacting to what I know. We go to the same place over and over. So what I'd like to see is a mechanism to fund a comprehensive study, top to bottom, top of the mountain to the bottom of the mountain. Where is our stormwater issues? What needs to be done? What's reasonable? And then you tell me how to pay for it. This is an option. I like this option in the fact that we'll never raise enough money from the tax fix everything. But what it does is it opens up an opportunity, funding opportunities that we don't currently have. And we've proven that we're very good at getting money in these other opportunities. And this is an opportunity that we don't have because we don't have a stormwater utility. We don't have something to pledge like our utility utility revenues. We don't have that opportunity. I see that being the biggest benefit of the stormwater utility. I don't think it will ever fund the millions of dollars that need to be put into the
Can you
ground.
say that again? What the biggest benefit is?
Funding.
Opening up additional funds to the town. that
So
we
in
don't
other words,
currently have.
creating another revenue stream.
Well, it's grants that we currently don't have the opportunity.
Now you got my attention.
So we can't get those.
There's grant money involved in this.
That's
That's what you only tell us.
Well, that's what the big one is.
We don't want to hear about the $5 to $10 increase that we're getting ready to see. 'Cause every time you get a new bucket, all you got to do is double it. You just said there was a town that doubled it overnight. We're not interested in that.
What do you
We're very
need?
interested in grants.
What do you need from, I mean, to me, and I met with Chief Budney extensively this morning to discuss this. And I asked him, why haven't we done this prior? I won't say his response, but, I mean, it's the hundreds of thousands of dollars that we're investing every year in fixing. And as he said, we're not being proactive. And by having this fund as a financial extension that's not going to be on the backs of the taxpayers, yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. So my question to you is, what do you need from council to proceed with this study or this plan?
The reason it's before you, we've been talking about it for a while, is
Yep.
because this is a big policy deal. This is a tax. And typically, elected officials don't want to add taxes or raise taxes or do anything with taxes. That's a bad thing. So as a policy decision, this is a big deal. And this needs to be, you need to be very comfortable with what we're doing, where we're going, and how it's going to be administered. We can continue doing what we're doing now. We actually are spending taxpayer money, over $500,000 every year doing what I just explained to you. We can continue that, and we've been doing that probably for 40 years, not to that level. And we're not making improvements. The town has developed, and as development incurs, our stormwater changes, and we're reacting to that. And you have citizens come up here every couple of months, particularly after it rains, and complain about how the water is flooding their properties, et cetera. And until we have a comprehensive plan on what needs to be done and what that costs, I can't go out and get money to do that. But it's a big deal. And if you don't want to do a stormwater utility, that's fine as well, but I want everybody to be aware of that's where we are, and that's where we will go. We don't have the opportunity to fund a plan. If you look into their presentation, plans in the $250,000 range. I believe it's more than that by the time you put everything together. This opportunity gives us a chance to seize grants, that we don't currently have now. If we don't want to go down that road, that's fine, but just understand that we won't be able to make those improvements. We really don't know where to make those improvements. We know where the problems are, and we continuously go back and repair them, but we need a comprehensive plan from top to bottom when it rains, where to put the stormwater, and how to get it into Lake Coffee, how to get it into Buckeye, how to get it through across Fox Grape Hollow so that we don't replace that crossing 3 times a year, et cetera. Greenbrier Road. Everybody knows the areas that we're talking about. So, didn't really want a decision today. I just wanted you to know what a stormwater utility was, what it entailed, and then think about what direction you want us to go in. And this isn't something that can be put together quickly. When I asked, we're looking at 1, 2, 3 years possibly to make everything come together.
Do you need some guidance from council to move forward?
If you're willing to do it today, that's fine, but that's not what I would.
No, I'm not, I mean, I think we need to do it.
Well, I think in general, we have to do this. All right, now how we do it is something we gotta hash out and try to figure out. You know, cart before the horse, what comes first? What do we have to do first in order to get the second step?
Well, if you want to fund a study, we'll have to budget that.
Right.
So we're talking, in the spring, and we'll budget it, it's probably gonna be, $250,000. And fund a study, it'll be this time next year possibly that we'll have some preliminary results, which is fine, if that's the route you wanna go. But that will be funded out of the general fund, we won't have a dedicated funding source. As importantly, I won't be able to go after some of this hazard mitigation funds that are available because of Helene. Now, we have some LOIs, letters of intent, that are going in for some other projects that aren't stormwater related in this funding mechanism. We're shooting to get that $5 million of grant money. So we're okay there, but part of this presentation that was very attractive was there's money today available for, you've heard it twice, shovel-ready projects. We're not. Where we could use the funds is for planning.
Mr. Mayor, procedurally, the asset inventory and assessment would need an RFQ, so you can determine which firm you're going to go with. Of course, this firm does that, but there are also others who might do it, and you'd need to go through the RFQ process for that determination of who's going to conduct that and who are we going to contract with.
So do you guys want to proceed with this or put this on next month's agenda?
I got a couple more questions. Thanks. So I guess my understanding is, are we looking to have a stormwater fund that would pay for all our stormwater needs? Or are we thinking more along the lines of creating the fund that would help do some of these projects, but really open up the door for the grant funding? Does that make sense?
Yes.
I mean,
Well, if you look at the numbers that they presented, we don't have enough parcels that would pay into a reasonable tax that could fund those millions of dollars worth of projects. So ultimately, what you would be doing is moving that cost from the general fund to the utility, and paying for your plan, and opening up the opportunity for substantial grant funding to make those improvements that the plan identified. That's my opinion.
do we lock
The numbers just don't, when you look at the numbers that they presented, you don't raise that kind of money.
Do we lock if we create a stormwater fund, do we lock ourselves out of doing the work we're doing from general fund dollars today? So would we no longer be able to use general funds towards stormwater, or would that still be available?
Before or after you create the fund?
I'm talking about if you create a stormwater
Yes.
fund, the day after it's created.
You have to take money out of the
and you
general
got this
fund.
pot of money sitting there for stormwater, but it may not be enough money to maintain or fix a problem on top of trying to go forward and do improvements. Will we still be able to appropriate funds from general fund over stormwater?
Generally, when your auditor goes through, they like to see enterprise funds as being self-sustaining. With that being said, there's no prohibition on supplementing those with general fund dollars if needed.
We have done that with the utility.
Right.
When the water plant was built, we used general fund dollars to help fund the water plant construction, and that was appropriate. It should be noted, in the presentation mentioned this, the cash flow for the first couple of years is gonna be minimal, at $4 or $5 a parcel. So we would need to continue the maintenance. We can't stop the maintenance of the stormwater system. Now, at some point, you would want to move that cost out of your general fund into your stormwater utility. But I don't see the numbers reflecting those dollars for quite some time.
But having this, by establishing this fund, Stanford, that was a good question. By establishing this fund, it would open up the doors for potential greater funding or grants than what we currently have. Yes?
I'll give an example. We talked about the planning funding. We said there's you can submit for planning in HMGP now if it leads to a shovel-ready project. So the stormwater master plan, we cannot submit for HMGP. But if you had the stormwater management plan, all the projects identified in it would have been eligible for HMGP. So you could go for funds for all the projects
In the future.
in the future. Yeah.
So is this, I think you said the deadline was October the 6th?
This
So is
one,
this-
That's for shovel ready.
that's for shovel.
So do we have to have, let's say if we want to target some of these shovel-rated projects that we may potentially have, does this fund have to be established by?
No, you absolutely couldn't pull it off. What the October 6th, you have on your October 14th agenda that you don't know about yet, is resolution to authorize me to make those LOIs. We have shovel-ready projects that are being applied for in this round, and we'll make it October 6th, providing you grant me that permission on the 14th. Everything is timing lately, and we're going after $5 million of grant money in this Hurricane Helene hazard mitigation grants, and those are shovel-ready projects. Lake Coffee is one of them, and we've got some utility generators, and some work to the water plant that we'll be asking you to approve. So don't think that this stormwater is a rush. You don't have to do this anytime soon.
The enterprise fund
Yes.
is not.
The utility.
Right.
I will really want you to take your time and make sure this is what we want to do. It just opens up those bigger pots of money that we currently don't have access to.
But it seems like this council's been presented with several development plans this year, and not having a plan moving forward to how to deal with stormwater, and we do have, residents here on Beach Mountain that do suffer from, every time we get a storm, their property gets, flooded or washed, driveways washed away or so forth. So it seems like there needs to be something in place for us to deal with it, not just have a knee-jerk, it's an emergency repair, we take money out of the general fund. Seems like it'd be more appropriate to have a plan in place of how we deal with this long-term, future.
So this, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So the study would be studying, our topographical part of Beach Mountain, then presenting different ways to collect stormwater. There would also be in there reasons why we're collecting stormwater based on different areas on the mountain. And then at the end of the study would be showing different ways that we can use that money to either take grants or create those projects. Is that clear on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically, we want to be able to leverage our few dollars in our tax to greater funding mechanisms that we don't have access to now, to make improvements over time. We need to direct the water, we need to capture the water. We need it in Lake Coffee, and we need it in Buckeye. Doesn't do us any good going into the Watauga River. But getting it there is, we don't want it to cause damage. So we don't have a plan that shows all the infrastructure that we're talking about. That's the GIS, looking at every culvert, every ditch, where the water flows, where the creeks flow, doing all that design. We don't have that. And so you can fund that out of the general fund. We can wait and do utility and fund it out of the utility. That would take some time to get that kind of revenue, or some hybrid. But I wanted to make sure that you knew this was available and start thinking about if this is a path you want to go down. And I'm sure you want to hear from the public, more than just one public hearing. This is what, they would like. Most of the public that comes to see you is complaining that the stormwater is damaging their property. And they almost always tell us that something has changed. And what has changed is development in the town, in my opinion. And every time we go out to fix one of these, it's because something above on the mountain, or on a mountain, and something above changed in the water flow change. And we are not prepared as a town to handle that in a comprehensive manner.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
This money that we're talking about, are we talking about fixing water so that it doesn't wash everybody's? Because I don't think
Yes.
that's gonna happen.
It
The water
can.
goes where it wants to on this mountain, like that. We got to fix it after it's done. I thought that's what it was.
You know, I want to make a comment, follow up with something that Alan said. This is, I'm not gonna say the first time in history, however many years I've been on council, we've never had, I'm changing gears a little bit, but we've never had a town manager that has brought development plans, infrastructure plans, water and stormwater plans, the grants that the town has got. In case in point, and I want to go ahead and emphasize and focus on this, is that whether Chief Putney's going to be here for another week or another 10 years, hopefully 10 years, this is the, our town wouldn't be in this position today if we'd have had, in my opinion, if we'd have had a town manager that's got the vision that Chief Putney has and his staff. So, moving forward, if it's going to be this council that hires a new town manager, this is the horsepower that we need. Someone that's not fresh out of college and is going to go and take multiple classes and he's going to learn. We need someone that brings experience to our town so that we continue to move forward and we don't go backwards. Now, I changed gears a little bit, but what you guys offer today is impressive, and it should have been done a long time ago. So thank you for the presentation, it's very informative.
Okay.
Do you guys have any questions?
Case in point, just on the funding, then, if this was brought just 3 years ago, we had funds available, 400,000 for the master plan, plus another 100,000 to contribute to establishing a stormwater utility. Literally, if we spoke about this 3 years ago, this would have been done 100% grant money.
Yeah.
We got it in multiple communities.
Well, if we can do it now, 10 years from now, we'll save those people.
That's right.
And what Dory mentioned was through ARPA, and we're hopeful the state will put some more emphasis around that again. But that pot has dried up post-ARPA.
Very good. Do you guys have any questions? Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hope you guys come back to Beach Mountain. Okay, that was item 8.2, Stormwater Enterprise. Item 8.3, I need a motion to call for a public hearing on various code amendments.
Motion?
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
What are these code ordinances different than the ones we already passed?
It's another set.
Another set of them?
Another set. And then you'll probably see those with the new process where you want to have a public hearing and then wait a month to vote. We've spaced those out, so you're gonna see these for a while. The planning department and the planning board are going through our ordinances and cleaning them up. Predominantly, as you see, making them more appropriate with state statute and how we're currently doing business. So this is the text they're proposing. If you take a look at it, the public take a look at it, we'll have a public hearing in October. You'll vote on this in November.
And then there'll be more after that.
I'll have you a new set of
Ordinance changes? Preston, what are you doing with your time?
We'll have the same conversation in
Yes, we will.
Groundhog Day. Has
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
You gotta vote on that.
looks like 2/3 of our people left. Thank you for you guys sticking around.
Those are the Barbara McKay fans.
Okay, Chief,
do we did? Okay, good.
Town Manager reports.
All right, Mayor and Council, I'll go for this. FEMA updates, it's positive. We have 18 projects totaling approximately $10 million, which is been obligated, which is a big improvement over last month. However, we received no funding. They've obligated them, and the way it works is they obligate them and they transfer money to the state, and then the state administers the program. And one of the things that I've been arguing about with both FEMA and the state is we need cash flow to get this work done. We're not big enough to pay for it and then wait. So the state is coming up with an expedited funding where we can make draws on the obligated funds without actually having the work done, contracted, completed, and invoiced and paid. And shot myself in the foot because that is delayed as they set up this program for Beach Mountain. We'll be the first ones to have this. It's gonna be about 30 days, but we've got the money obligated. It's actually obligated. It's almost in the bank. The check's almost in the bank. So
The
we're,
rent is almost paid.
and we're working through some bigger issues, bigger problems, but that's a big lift for FEMA to get us those dollars.
That go through emergency management?
It does, yeah. Recovery projects, real quick, roads and culverts. Councilman, you asked I give you a monthly update on where we are. We'll have a written report in Public Works this next month, but we didn't have time to do it. So where we stand is contractors completed as of yesterday 18 of 68 roads. We've placed 8,759 tons of gravel and 54,000 lineal feet of ditches have been repaired. 2 of 43 culverts have been replaced. Two. Well, we just authorized that. Paving Buckeye Creek Road milling to begin this week. We've delayed those 2 culverts, as I told you, I think last week. Moretz and the contractor had asked if we maintain the road to continue hauling gravel. So those culverts will be a little bit later, but we're gonna tear the road up and make life miserable out there. Rock Creek Excavating, which is the contractor, Councilman, he's agreed to subcontract with additional haulers to move gravel up to the town. There were 14 dump trucks running today. He's agreed to get up to 20 trucks per day. He's providing an on-site mechanic to maintain his equipment on site. It was any breakdowns or having to leave them out, and it was counterproductive. And he's agreed to bring in 2 additional crews next week, beginning next week, to work solely on the culvert replacement. As you know, we have to have that completed by the 9th of November for our FEMA requirements, and so that's become a priority. Buckeye Lake, the notice to award was issued at the afternoon of your special meeting on the 2nd, and the contract's waiting on bonds and licenses to be provided. The engineer was going to get back to me in business today, and I haven't seen anything. So I expect work to begin on the Cherry Gap site first. They'll be laying the road in, and then we'll be moving the materials out of the delta, we call it, at Shane Park to Cherry Gap. The box culvert design at Buckeye Creek Road and Pine Ridge, that crossing, we're at 30% design, and FEMA's reviewing that now, so we're moving ahead with that. Charter Hills Road, we're at about 10% on the design. The geotech work is completed, and we're going to relocate the sewer next before winter. And then, so again, Charter Hills will be closed for the winter as we get forward with that. The sewer plant repairs, the design is almost complete, but we have sent it to DEQ for review and permitting. Met with that engineer yesterday, and he's confident that it'll move through. The Buckeye Dam and water plant intake damage, we're working with the existing contractor who did the dredging. His contract requires him to expose the 3 intakes, remove the fill, and find the drain of the lake and clear that. And he's not figured out yet, or has not made a proposal to us yet on how he plans to do that. Greenbrier will start paving tomorrow morning. Weather looks good. Moretz Pavings is they'll knock that out in about a week, a little less than a week. So Greenbrier will start being paved tomorrow. The Skiway Circle utility work, phase 1 has been completed. They'll be cleaning up, trying to level the road out a little bit. Then they're moving to Christie Way. Due to the way that project has been designed, they did phase 1 on Skiway Circle. Now they'll go to Christie Way, come down from the top. There's a lot of unknowns, private sewers in there that need to be found and moved and adjusted, and then they'll return to Skiway Circle. So I asked them to get the road surface back to something other than driving on the moon during this, when they pull out. So that'll be.
What services, if any, were lost with Skiway Circle?
We replaced water and sewer.
Okay.
I don't think we lost any services. The road is literally gone. So you're driving over, ditches and sewer lines. It doesn't get repaved until the end of the project, so it'll be a terrible road for a while. But it'll be all new water and sewer. There were homes there that were on septic, those are being moved over to sewer. There was a lot of private sewer that's being replaced with public sewer, so it will be a major improvement.
Thank you.
Lake Coffee, good news there. Final designs are completed. Meetings with both the resort and the club, we've got consensus, we've got sign-offs, so we're moving forward there. The plan's been sent out to 3 major contractors to get some fixed pricing. We have to do a benefit cost analysis for FEMA for phase 2 funding, which is at risk, and that we call the BCA. The BCA, we only have an engineer's estimate for the total cost of the work, which is up to $40 million. And I told them nothing on Beach Mountain can ever cost $40 million. So we want to get some hard numbers from the contractors to plug into the BCA, and we've got some major out of the area contractors that build dams and things like that. So the BCA for FEMA is looking much better, even with the high numbers and not knowing the final cost. And we're part of what we're sending on the 6th is another funding stream for Lake Coffee out of the Helene flood mitigation or hazard mitigation for floods. We're going to ask for $5 million and see if we can get some of that money. Helene mitigation grants I just spoke about, those are going out on the 6th. Again, timing-wise, we don't meet until the 14th. I have to have that letter signed and in by the 6th. I wanted to tell you about it today, so because I'm going to retroact, I'm going to ask you to approve it on the 14th.
Do we need to have a meeting before?
I don't believe so, but unless you tell me you don't want me to proceed to go find $1 million in free money.
Get the money.
Get the money, yeah.
Let me think about it.
So it will be on your agenda, a resolution, but I wanted to make sure that you understood the timing mechanism. They changed the timing on us, moved it up, as you heard from Withers Ravenel, everybody's moved up. So now it kind of messed up the plans. But I wanted to bring it to you in public today that we intend to apply. And if you have any heartburn, I need to hear it, and we'll hold off, we won't make the deadline. Or you will see a resolution on the.
Go for it.
Yeah, have the resolution.
Stormwater utility, you heard that. Just, again, keep that in the forefront. We need to, I believe, we need to do something. The reason it hasn't been done in 40 years is because it's hard. It's difficult. And so it never got done.
That's kind of what he said this
It
morning.
needs to be done. We need to do something other than what the current program just doesn't cover. Board of Adjustment, correct? Resignation, Robert McMichael resigned, he's moving off the mountain, so we've got a vacancy there. Emily tells me we don't have any applications, so we're asking again for people who are interested in something like Board of Adjustment to fill out an application online. If they can't figure that out, give Emily a call.
There was no alternates on Board of Adjustment? I mean, there's no alternate we can move in?
I believe he was an alternate.
He was an alternate.
Oh, he wasn't.
So we're at 2 vacancies.
Okay.
The mayor asked me today about the nuisance ordinance we discussed, remember the height of the grass, things like that, and the solid waste ordinance, remember we wanted more teeth. We have a draft available, I sent it to the mayor today, he was good with it. We're gonna put it on your agenda in October. We'll schedule a public hearing if you so desire that. So you'll have those two, I just wanted to give you an update, you'll see those next month. And we began painting our water tanks, and I saw the paint, and I want to make sure that you know that you picked the color.
We did?
If you recall. So it's a blue, It's a very nice blue.
It's not Carolina blue, is it?
No, it's much brighter. So,
It's Clemson blue.
I just wanted to make sure that before you got phone calls, that the water tanks are doing their maintenance and they're getting painted. We had painted the smaller tank that feeds the Pinnacle last year. That's the color. And now we're gonna paint the bigger tanks, and it will be more prominent. So, that's all I got.
I keep getting questions about why are we still under water restrictions?
Sure.
Could you give us the answer for the public?
So
I know it.
We went under water restrictions, like the day after Helene. When it became obvious, we lost about 40% of our capacity of the lake. So our capacity of the lake was reduced because of the infill of the material. So when we complete the dredging and remove the delta and get our 2-point-some million gallons back, I don't want to promise anything, we should be able to then reevaluate that and take a look at reducing or removing restrictions. But we're under restrictions because our capacity of our single reservoir is reduced.
All right. Again, the question I get, we finished dredging, why are we still on water restrictions?
Well, the bulk of the material hasn't been removed.
Yeah.
And that's the delta, it's where it filled the lake. You can walk out there where it used to be water. That contract that you approved last week is to dig that out and haul it away to Cherry Gap. That'll bring us over 2 million gallons of water back into the lake. That should bring us back to pre-Helene volume in the lake. But that's the reason we're in phase 2.
And anything further on the well?
The well, no.
It's a hole.
Well, that's a deep subject. We need to, we're trying to get some legitimate pricing and some engineering information on what to do, if anything, and then bring it back to you to see if you want to spend that kind of money to take a shot, literally. So the current option is to go down to the bottom of the well and frack and try and expand the fractures at the bottom of the well, or at least below the water column. If you recall, what we found when we cambered the well is that the water column, the water aquifer after the storm dropped over 200 feet. So where we were getting water into these fractures in the well above, 200 feet, it's completely dry. There's holes in the side of the well where water was used to be pouring in, and there's nothing there, and it's over 200 feet. So the issue is, do we spend an unknown amount of money yet to frack the well and crack it at the bottom and try and create fractures and let unknown water from unknown aquifer fill the well? Or do we say, let's not throw money out yet, let's not throw money down the hole? So we have not been able to get valuable information from a well fracking company on if it's possible, what it costs, and what the guarantees are. And I can assure you, they've all told me the guarantees are zero. And it could even be worse, they could collapse the well. And then if there was water, you'd have to
Re-drill.
Not drill it, but case it. So right now, all the pipe is laying in the yard, and we're waiting to get some information. Nothing will be done this season. It'll be springtime at the earliest, and it'll be based on what the cost is and what if there's an opportunity.
Thank you.
Is that the well on Pinnacle?
It is. Yep.
All right.
Roger, can I say one thing?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if y'all know that Culver Spoon passed away last Saturday. He's been a friend to all of us on Beach Mountain for years. His services are going to be this Sunday in Elizabethton at 2:30 at the Tetra Funeral, but the one in Elizabethton.
Thank you.
It's posted on Facebook.
I was going to mention that, but thank you, Pat. No, it's good. No.
She
Thank
took
you.
my comment.
That's good. That's one less comment. All right, town council comments. Alan?
Yeah, it was appropriate that Francis brought up the anniversary of Helene coming up, and just it says a lot about our town and the town people, the town council, all the town manager, all the employees here that have really brought this town back. And we're not back to 100%, but we're a lot better off than a lot of surrounding communities. When you look around, drive around, you'll see that. So I would say that our town is blessed to have the people that were pitched in on the days that, you know, those of us on the fire department, we saw all the devastation and the trees that were down and the houses that were hit and so forth. And it was very eye-opening, but just thankful, and that we're a very blessed town, a blessed mountain, and we have great people up here, and just want to acknowledge that.
Thank you.
Most importantly, we had a big birthday in Town Hall, I understand, last week. And Miss Emily, a belated happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And touching on this enterprise fund for stormwater, I strongly believe this is something we need to dig into and find a way to make it happen, in the sense that we've had these storms, and you know, more and more places are getting washed out, and people come here complain about their roads and or property getting washed out. And you know, is it going to be a tax? It's going to be some sort of a tax, but unless we put this enterprise fund in place, we lose out on opportunities to get funding to make these things happen. So I think we need to put that on the forefront and move forward as cautiously but expeditiously as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have much. Just everybody think about the United States coming up Thursday, and you know, 9/11, and it's a lot for a lot of first responders. We hold that very close, and just everybody have a good day that day.
Vice Mayor?
I just want to say congratulations on a great summer season for Beach Mountain. We survived again. The big thing on this stormwater is that you're going to see a lot of information coming out. So just make sure you take time to read all that information and not just gloss over it, so you really understand what we're doing if we come back to you with a fee, so you understand completely why the fee is or is not being put in place. That's it for me.
I want to thank you folks for attending today. You know, it's time out of your schedule, it's time out of our schedule, being up here as well. And it means a lot having, whether we agree to disagree, but it means a lot having folks that come and attend our town council meetings. And I didn't want to thank Chess, but Chess, there were kind words that you said about council meetings.
Hey, y'all are doing the work, so I thank y'all. You don't need to thank me.
Well, thank you. It's not, you know, it's a thankless job, but I think our interest is making Beach Mountain better. The decisions that we make may not be the most popular ones, but you know, I've said many times that a lot of the work we're doing today, in my opinion, should have been done years ago. Whether right or wrong, we are where we are, and we have to make Beach Mountain better.